In this video, I'm going to show you how I do my light up marquee on this first gen cabinet. The previous video showed you how to make the wiring adapters to get you power in the cabinet to do a marquee. So stay tuned and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back again with the first gen cabinet for the Asteroids Arcade 1-Up. If you watched my previous video, I showed you how to make this harness to give you power in a unmodified first gen Arcade 1-Up. That way you have 12 volts to do your marquee. There are plenty of people out there that sell kits. Feel free to go buy one of their kits. I am doing this because I have several machines I need to do, and the kits get very expensive very fast if you need to do multiple machines, and I just can't afford that. Okay, so it's no negative against anybody in their kits, and I'm not selling kits. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you what we do. So the first thing that I did was I went on Thingiverse, because Thingiverse has lots and lots of stuff for free that you can 3D print, and I have a 3D printer. So even with my large 3D printer that's got a 12 by 12 bed and prints 13 inches high, I could not print this. So I took the STL file and I went in Tinkercad and I split this in half. The original file, they offer it as one piece, or they split it here on the ends, which does me no good because I still can't print it because it's too long. So I split it in half to give you, it'll give you a seam here and a seam here. And then you're going to end up with these two strips that'll print also. I get to upload it to Thingiverse, and I will put a link in the description. Turn my light on here. There's a very thin strip of plastic there. So you're going to clean up the ends. When you print this, you clean up all the ends. And then what I did was I took one strip of plastic and I put it on one side. And then the other strip of plastic I glued on the other side. I let those dry for a few seconds with super glue. And then I put super glue on the rest of the strip, and I put super glue in the joints, and then face down on something it won't stick to, and pushed it together, and pushed the strip down on there till it stuck, and made sure that these joints were pushed in and that they were even. Okay? And what that does is it gives you a frame. And this frame has a channel here. It's also got a small groove cut in it for you to run your lights out if you want to do it that way, to run the little wiring out. So this will be the top of this. And how this works is you take this frame and you go over to your cabinet, and like I said, the top has that groove in it, as you can see. And what that groove does is you set it on here, and that groove locks right in on the top, does not move. And then the bottom just pushes in against the bottom of the old marquee. So that's how that works. Okay. Now I'm not reusing the old marquee because the artwork's nice. So what I ended up doing is I took the marquee off of the Asteroids, and all the marquees are the same on these wooden marquees. And I got some of this OSB. It was a shelf from like some old junk furniture or something, and it was about the right thickness. So I simply copied it from the old marquee. That way I can take these off and I can save them. And I'm just putting a blank up there because I end up just drawing a hole straight through the face of this, which would destroy the old marquee. Now, if you're not going to draw a hole through it, and you're just going to run a wire up over the top somehow in that little channel that they give you, then by all means you can leave the old one on there. Or if you just don't care about the old artwork, that's fine too. Like I said, I wanted to save it, so that's what I ended up doing. All right, moving on. So I ordered these from an Etsy seller. These are made to fit the Arcade 1-Ups. They are not stickers. They are a translucent plastic. And they're just white on the back. Okay? And they are the same size as the Marquee panel. So what you can do is you can take this and take some clear 3M double-sided Scotch tape. You can get it at, you can get it at Dollar Tree. It's got like a yellow label on the dispenser. And with clean hands, you can go all the way around the perimeter of this, and then you could lay it on here and make sure it's where you want it, push down on it, and have it on the outside like that. And you're pretty much done at that point, and then you just need to figure out what you're going to put inside to backlight it. Doing it this way, it looks clean on the outside when it's not lit up, but it will give you a like a shadow around the edge, because you're going to have this lip that you stuck it to. So, you know, if you don't want to be able to see it when it's not lit up, this is the way to do it. But when you light it up, you're going to see the lip around the edge. Now, the way I chose to do the Asteroids machine, I haven't decided which way I'm doing this Ninja Turtles yet. But the Asteroid machine, what I ended up doing was I took a piece of thin acrylic. This is pretty thin. You can even get thinner. This is just stuff I had laying around. I don't know how thick this is, maybe 1/8 inch. So it's pretty solid. I took and polished it on both sides with some Meguiar's Plastic X. Okay. And if you're going to do the way I'm showing you now, you will need to cut this sign down. Because this, you flip this over, there's a lip down inside here. And this panel, this acrylic, is going to set down inside here against that lip. So you end up with this. All right. So if you're going to do it that way, this piece of acrylic needs to be 17.5 inches long, and then it needs to be 4 7/8 inches wide, the other direction here. If you do it bigger, it will not fit. Okay? Then you will need to cut this down to that size. And because there's a graphic on it, you're going to need to figure out where you want to cut it down, because you're going to lose a little bit of the graphic. So if you want to just, figure out this is the more dead end on it or whatever, or you want to cut a little bit off the top, whatever. I mean, in the end, you're going to lose a little bit all the way around because of the frame once this is put together. So you just want to try and think it out before you cut this down the size. Once you cut this down the size, you will flip this over, and you will take that 3M clear double-sided Scotch tape, and you go around the border, and then you're simply going to flip it over, center it on the acrylic, and push it down, and it will stay. Then you can take and pop it into this. This is not cut down, so I can't do that. But then you'll take this whole thing, flip it over, pop it into here. Make sure you're right side up. What I actually did was, once I popped that in there, I took some hot glue and I pushed this down all the way into the frame. and I put a couple dabs of hot glue and held it down till the hot glue hardened. That way this wouldn't back out or be loose in the frame. I think I put one in each corner and maybe one in the middle, top and bottom. It doesn't take much to hold it. And that way it holds this frame's pretty flimsy. It holds it up against this to give it some strength. All right, and then that part's all done. And this is what you will end up with. So this is what the frame looks like. Now on this one, after I glued this all together, I did sand it a little bit at the joints. It's not perfect. I hit it with some matte black spray paint that is good for plastics. So let me flip this down and you can see behind it. So this is what it looks like on the inside. I put some cheap lights in there and they're facing back towards the that panel, and then just run through a hole and they're plugged in the back to my adapter harness I made. These are okay lighting it like this. I did get some different LED lights. I think they call it neon or something. It's basically these lights, but they're inside of like a frosted jelly type thing. And I think that might work better to distribute the lighting. And at that point, I may just stick a strip of it right to the old Marquee board. But that's what it looks like inside. Like I said, you just flip it up on there. It locks in place. It's not going anywhere. I mean, you could double side tape it, I guess, once you're done messing with it for it to be on there permanently if you're afraid it's going to fall off. Now, there is a little gap on the ends here. So what I'm going to end up doing, because I use such a light color piece of board behind there, what I'm going to end up doing, so I'll go to Lowe's or Home Depot or something, and I'm going to get some very, very thin self-adhesive backed weather strip, and I'll put a strip of it on the end of this plastic piece from top to bottom here, and I'll do one over here, and then I'll pop this back in place, and that will stop the light bleed from coming through here when it's turned on, and also you won't see the old Marquee panel that's behind there. And this came out beautiful, and it only cost me this was like $16. The 3D printing cost me nothing because I was able to do it myself. The acrylic was free because I did it myself. And obviously I had to make this harness, but all these parts are very cheap. You watch the other video. I've got links in the description. It shows you how to make this harness and what to buy. So in the end, it may not be worth it for you to make this if you're doing one cabinet, because it's still going to cost you out of pocket. I'm guessing it's going to cost you $20 to $30, something like that, if you don't have any of the materials and you have to just buy everything. To do one, it may not be worth it, because you can just go buy a nice kit for probably a little bit more. But when you're doing multiples, it's a huge savings to be able to just buy a $16 piece of film that's printed and just fabricate a bunch of these yourself. So like I said, this is a first gen cabinet. These things come with the light up Marquee. The Ninja Turtle, I don't know if that's first gen or second gen. So as far as how I'm going to wire that, I haven't figured out yet, because that's got a Raspberry Pi in it anyway. That's a Retro Pi arcade. But as far as your Gen 1 cabinets, this works, and you know, doing that works, and then it gives you a light up Marquee. So I guess like and subscribe, and I'll put links in the descriptions for stuff, for where I got. I'll put a link in the description for the frame that I printed to get you the STL file, and I will put a link in the description for the Etsy seller where I bought these. You can, there's other people that sell these. They're sold as decals too and everything else. So I'm not saying you have to go to this seller. This is the seller I used. The stuff looks really nice. It seems to be a good quality, and I've manhandled it quite a bit, and I have not scratched through the printing, surprisingly. So that was something I was definitely concerned about, was that, you know, just working on it and stuff, I was going to end up scratching through the print on there somewheres, and it's nice and clean still. So it's a good quality as far as I'm concerned. Now if you look really close, you can see this is the clear double-sided tape here. So it is slightly noticeable. It's only around the edges, but for what it cost me to do these, it's acceptable as far as I'm concerned, because you're also probably seeing the back of the LED strip that's stuck onto the inside of the acrylic. So, alright, like and subscribe.